Hey guys, guess what? It is the end of the year. More importantly, of course, it's Christmas. I don't know if you'll be listening to this on Christmas, but this will come out on Christmas Day because it just happens to land on a Wednesday when my new episodes come out. So, Merry Christmas. Hopefully, you are enjoying time with family and friends and having lots of laughter, sharing lots of love. And when you are able to listen to this, I want to encourage you to think of the success stories of your students from this year so far. How have they progressed, especially in their behaviors? What student success stories do you have? How have your struggling students changed their behavior to be more positive? Have they reached their behavior goals? Did they have behavior goals this year? These are the things we're going to talk about, and hopefully we can encourage each other and be proud of each other and how we have helped our students create more positive behaviors. So, before we get started, I want to encourage you to click that subscribe button, share this episode and this podcast with any other educators that you know. And also join my Facebook group, Behavior Strategies for Class, with lots of other amazing educators there that you can connect with. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Behavior Strategies for Class. I am Diane Bachman, your behavior paraprofessional with over 15 years of experience working in special education. And I'm so glad you're here because I'll be teaching you about social-emotional learning, behavior strategies, trauma-informed care, and more. So if you are tired of being frustrated and not knowing what to do with your students who have challenging and disruptive behavior, you're in the right place. Now, if you're ready to become more equipped to help your students learn and grow, let's listen in to today's episode. So we have some great success stories with some of our students this year who came to us really struggling with their behaviors and being able to sustain being in a gen ed class. And so for the most part, they would always be with us in our classroom trying to get some work done, but really trying to teach them like how to be a student, honestly. How do you sit in your chair? How do you, do your work? And when you need a break, how do you ask for a break? All of these things we kind of have to start over for some of our students, especially when they come to us when they're young. And we usually get students who have had a history of challenging behaviors, disruptive behaviors, not being able to stay in their gen ed class. And so we really start from zero and teach them, like I said, how to be a student and how to be in class. And then we slowly integrate them back into their gen ed class. One student I think of, he came to us with a huge long list of behaviors. And granted, we saw some of them. We didn't see all of them. But now he is so amazing. Like, he is never in our class, really. He is in his gen ed class 90% of the time. And he is engaged. He is talking with his peers. He's engaging with them. He's working with them. He's able to say, you know what, I need a break. Or like, this is too hard, or it's too loud in here. I need to, step out. Or can we work in the hallway? Because the class, it does get a little chaos, when kids are working on different projects and stuff. It gets overwhelming. And so then, we will take his work and go work in the hallway. So he's advocating for himself. He's expressing how he's feeling. And Like, we totally honor that, and like, yeah, buddy, grab your book, let's go. And we'll finish the work out in the hallway, and then be able to come back and turn it in, and he's good to go. Or he may still want a break, and so then we'll go take him for a break. But it's just amazing because I know sometimes you hear that kids who have autism like really keep to themselves. They don't like any like physical affection. And he is like totally opposite. Yes, granted, there are times he does not mind being by himself, and that's okay. But for the most part, like, he's laughing with the other students. He's he's making jokes in the class, almost to where now it's like, okay, buddy, like, now is the time to be quiet. The teacher's teaching now. But it's so fun, and it's so great to see how much he's grown and able to connect with others and engage with them and have fun with them. And other times he has a rough day and he doesn't want any part of it. And that's okay too, because like I said, 90% of the time he is in his gen ed class doing his schoolwork. It's just so awesome to see that growth. We have another student who also came to us with a lot of challenging behaviors. He would be climbing on things. He would be turning tables over and climbing on tables. He'd be climbing on the chairs. He'd be running and hiding. He didn't want to do any of his work. I mean, just kind of a hot mess. And now, same, like, he's in his gen ed class pretty much all day. Pretty much all day. And same, like, he's engaged, he's doing his work. We do come in and support at different times throughout the day with some of his academics, but his behaviors have been like a 180. He's sitting in his seat. He definitely, will still use like a fidget, and he advocates for that if he can use a fidget. Sometimes he brings his own fidgets that aren't necessarily appropriate for school, or they're just like toys, but he tries to act like they're fidgets. Little things like, obviously he's still a kid, but again, like, the growth in him is just amazing, and he's advocating for himself. He's engaging with his class, and it is just so exciting to see his growth. And when he engages with his class, it's just so fun to see how well they are doing and growing. And then recently we just got another student, and he definitely came also with some rough behaviors. And we've started to see some of them, but for the most part, like, he has done amazing. We've had people from the district come, and they were just like, well, where is this student? And it's like, well, he's in his gen ed class. And they're just blown away that he's already engaged in his gen ed class. And part of that, I have to say, is his teacher. His gen ed teacher is amazing. And she just, warms up to the students, greets them, and just makes them feel so welcome. And that's a huge factor for him. So he loves being in class. He's still not in there like 90% of the time, but he's in there probably at least half of the time. And at his other school, I don't think he was even in there 10% of the time. So he already has had great growth and engagement in his classroom as well. And same, that he will advocate for himself and let his teacher know. And sometimes it's not always the nicest way that he advocates for himself, but still, overall, he is doing great. And that is exciting to see, because it's so fun, just to get to know their personalities And as they are more comfortable and feel more safe and welcome, like they can kind of let their personality shine. And he really does. And he's a crack up. And so it's been really great to see him grow as well. Now, one thing to remember too with behavior strategies, sometimes they really are trial and error because the same strategies are not always going to work for each and every one of your students. Because, like like they're all individuals and they all have their own story and they all have their own struggles and they should all have their own behavior goals. And so, if one strategy works for one of your students, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for the other student. And so you really have to be able to understand and know that even though you're trying this strategy that worked for, say Susie over here, why isn't it working for Beth? You just have to take a step back and see, well, what really are the factors that are making a difference in their behaviors and the differences that they have. So don't lose hope when you start using one strategy and then realize like that is not doing anything, like that student is still struggling and being disruptive and aggressive. It's time to go back and look at another strategy. And that comes from training and knowing what strategies to look for. So know again that one strategy may not work for another student. Sometimes it will, but other times it won't, and that's okay. So we also have a couple other students who really started off pretty strong this year. They were in their gen ed class a lot, probably 60% of the time, doing the work that was expected, following directions, really having not much behavior. And unfortunately, due to their family situations, their behaviors have kind of regressed. So they started out doing well, and then by no fault of their own, because of the turmoil that their family life is in, their behaviors have regressed. And so one student he's not in his gen ed class at all, really. And then the other student, she's probably 50-50 right now. And, those are the things like obviously we can't control. We can't control what's going on in their family and the turmoil and, being pulled here and there. We can't control that. But we can try to understand and be empathetic to what they're going through. And so we can give them grace on some of their behaviors. But also we still hold them to that expectation, like you're in school and school is still for learning and we still have work to do. But it's done more at their pace. It's done in a more one-on-one situation. And so they are still able to get the work done. But it's knowing your students and knowing as much as possible like what's going on at home. Because I know sometimes you don't always know that or some of the details. But you obviously know something's going on because that student is not doing well. And so even though you put in all of the strategies, all of the coping skills, all of the behavior goals, and, charting it on their behavior charts, and they are still struggling, it's not you. It's the family circumstance that we have no control over. So we kind of adapt. We have to adapt. And so we're flexible. And so it's like, okay, well, what can we do today? How can we help you succeed today? because again, you're still in school, we're still learning, like we still have this to do, and maybe giving them that choice. Well, do you want to start on math or do you want to start on your writing first? And then being able to give them that voice and choice, some type of control in their life, because they have no control anywhere else. And so that's huge for those students. So again, I want to encourage you to not give up, especially on some of those students, like I said, who you see that they've been progressing and now all of a sudden they're regressing and they're back now to their previous behaviors, or maybe their behaviors are even worse than what they were. That's the time to kind of step back and see, okay, there is something going on. How can we help this student? Because again, we're not saying or asking what's wrong with that student. We're asking what happened or what's going on. Is there anything we can do to help? Because of course we want all of our students to succeed, and they're not always going to get that outside support. They're just going to get your support and your encouragement when they are in your class, and hopefully in the school, that you have that culture where everybody embraces all of the students. And so, success stories. What success stories do you have of your students? How have you seen your students grow into more positive behaviors? And if you have some students regressing, what else can you do to help that student? These are things that we have to stop and think about, because we still want to celebrate those wins. We still want to celebrate those success stories. But we don't want to leave those behind who have regressed or who are still struggling. We have to stay consistent and encourage them to keep going. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and it has been an amazing, crazy, busy, fun year. But I'm definitely looking forward to 2025. That just sounds so crazy to say that. But before we go, don't forget to join my Facebook group. And I also want to share this quote. So often you find that the students you're trying to inspire are the ones that end up inspiring you. And that is by Sean Junkins. And it's true. Those that we think we're helping and inspiring, those students turn around and they inspire us, because those students are strong, a lot stronger than what we give them credit for, because they are going through so much hurt. So don't give up. Take notice of those success stories. Celebrate those. And be ready for the next year, because it's going to be even more amazing, and you're going to see even more growth as your students continue to learn how to self-advocate, how to have a choice and a voice, and how to have positive behavior goals that they can continue to work towards. All right, guys, thank you so much for your continued support. And I so look forward to serving you even more in 2025. So again, Merry Christmas, and I will see you next year. Thanks so much for listening. I truly appreciate your support. And if I have encouraged you, motivated you to continue to learn, to support your students, even better, to help them strive in your classroom, please leave a review, hit that subscribe button so that others can see they can learn and grow here as well. Thank you.